Very different last time. Okay, once again, the Blitzcrank. Did see that out of the Afreeca Freecs, I believe, in game number 3, casting my mind back. And the Maokai is once again going to be removed. So Maren can take away a Cho'Gath, can take away a Gragas.
Gragas, the big power pick here. That's the one you'd most expect to be first picked, but it hasn't necessarily been tier lists that have decided the previous games. Afreeca Freecs are trying to ride the Ardent Sensor train all the way to Worlds, but you're going to need more strategies than that to go far in Worlds. So I'd like to see them pivot, show us something new. Jarvan first pick is a very high premium paid on Jarvan for the LCK, but given the world meta, it's not a surprising pick. It does give up a lot to the side of Samsung.
Yep, once again, it is going to be high priority on that Tristana by the looks of things for Ruler. I certainly made that one work. Denying the Xayah is another option here, but it didn't work for Kramer the last game, and it is going to be the Tristana locked in. And I feel like as well as being high priority on Jarvan, it's also high priority on flexibility as well, making sure that they keep their draft as open as possible. Maren and Spirit known to flex a lot. Can do it once again.
Red side gives you so many answers.
God,
answers is what you usually get on red side, and with Galio not hitting the ban list, second game of the season from Crown on the Galio. Not been a big pick for the side of Samsung, has been a pick for the side of Afreeca. And when you see Jarvan, you're expecting there to be Jarvan Galio if left to be assembled. Despite not having the Galio, interestingly, they will return to the Kog'Maw that they already won a game on. So it was a smart takeaway from Samsung. It's clear what Afreeca is putting together.
Yep, it's once again the Kog'Maw Lulu. Of course, the hyper flexibility of this draft means that Lulu could be support, could be jungle, Jarvan could be jungle, could be top lane. I don't know, I've seen it played in mid lane there as well. Crown going to take away the Karma.
Well, both teams are preparing around 2 people. Kramer and Ruler are the MVPs already, very clearly. The Galio, though...
Yeah, still some flexibility here in that Galio pick, assuming that Crown wants to take the Karma into the mid lane. It could be Cuvée taking it to the top lane, or of course Karma can be support in the hands of Core JJ.
And the best thing on the red side is you really do make that more than just lip service. You do have the chance to say, okay, what's the matchup? If it's a Maokai, which we know is bad, you're happy to take the Galio. There's a couple of matchups top lane where he does just fine. So even though we haven't seen it in Korea, it's a possibility, and Core JJ, I guess, could be playing it on support, not really expecting the support Galio. Karma's been a bigger pick for him in the support role, but we don't know, and that is the power of red side. You answer questions and you pose your own with the ability to have the final word as well. So Talia going to be banned away after being first pick for the first couple of games. The Janna banned away. Stop maybe pigeonholing the Lulu into support, which after the previous game, I think that should be embraced by the side of Afreeca. I think no more Lulu jungle for this one.
Well, Camille, once again, going to be banned away. Wasn't actually looked at in game number 4, despite a lot of times being banned against Cuvée. Definitely a champion that he has shown success on, but see whether that means that Maren has a certain plan in mind. Gragas going to be the final ban, understandably here on the side of the Afreeca Freecs, as it wasn't looked at in the first round.
Flexing so many different ways. They have the freedom to choose between support or one of the lanes with this pick. See what they want to decide. They're taking the full allotment of time here, Samsung. Just be going for jungle. Gonna go for the Kha'Zix again. Galio Kha'Zix is how Longzhu found so many of their victories early in the season. Does mean we're probably getting Tristana Karma bot lane, Galio mid lane. Get the most power out of the ultimate, and the Kha'Zix once again from Ambition, who has looked great in his 2 games so far. What is Afreeca gonna do in there? Protect the Kog'Maw comp.
Well, Orianna is an option here. Add another shield to the mix. Kuro is going to lock that one away. Now, are we going to get the jungle Jarvan? Or is Maren going to be taking that up there, and are we going to get something else? The Elise is standing out as something that they could potentially use. Or is this going to be the support pick? And we're once again going to have that jungle Lulu happening. They managed to navigate the early game to once again give him a good matchup as the Trundle finally goes into the hands of Maren.
But it's blind. It's a blind pick Trundle. Will we see Kled come through from Cuvée in this particular regard? Where will he go in his champion pool? Kennen is also one. AP Kennen's been a favorite. The Gnar available. You get lower value out of stealing stats from health stackers compared to the resist. So it's going to be Cuvée's Gnar, his famous Gnar, for the final game here One of these teams will be left watching as we have KT Rolster versus the Victor, and their whole year would have largely been for naught. Atlas, they would not have reached their dream of winning the LCK or making it to Worlds. And rely on the Marin blind pick Trundle. 2 games, 2 victories, but with the matchups like Maokai, it makes sense. With the Gnar, where will the jungle attention go for both sides? Because Samsung desperately want to play around bot, set up to do so with double teleport and the hero's entrance. On the side of Afreeca's, wait, we have to think about this for a second. Okay.
They were being cute for a second there. And I was a little bit worried about that, but not going to happen. Marin has played enough top lane Lulu in his time.
With Afreeca, you desperately want to play around bot side if you can, but you don't have the same tools to do so. So Spirit, who has been a star this series, is the one to watch because he has less globals to call in. If Spirit can make the action happen where he goes, Freecs certainly can win. If things are left to Samsung's side of things, I think it'll be more difficult for Afreeca to have a chance.
Yeah. This time, it's not going to be the Cog Lulu lane up against the Blitzcrank power, though. That one was banned away, thankfully, for Afreeca fans. So the possibilities of a turnaround could certainly happen. Oh, but can they be back-to-back reverse sweep deniers? And is the red side power of this draft going to be enough for Samsung? So many dreams still alive for both of these teams, but it has to end for one of them tonight. We'll see who it is as we hit the rift. I just never know how long to wait anymore. Soon we're just going to have so many cheers that we're not going to be able to cast. Just the game's going to be done by the time everyone's cheered for everything that they want to cheer for.
Makes my life easier.
Yeah, my life too. I'm happy to sit here.
I'm happy to collect my paycheck if I just have to watch the games. That's fine.
Yeah. That's what I was doing for most of the rest of League of Legends history.
Why? The awkward part was I wasn't getting the paycheck. I was just watching.
That's what I mean. I was talking about the watching. Yeah.
Well, Afreeca very early made it clear what they were all about with the Protect the Kog'Maw comp, and Kog'Maw's gone for the risky summoner also in the Fervor of Battle rather than going for Warlords.
Yeah, we saw that actually in game number 1 as well.
Sometimes you read into those things, sometimes you don't. When I see Fervor, my first thought is, oh, that means early gank because then they can use it, and if they don't have Warlords, the laning phase is going to be harder. Sometimes it's just thinking they want to ensure they have the damage in the late game.
Also a little bit more defensive. No Relic Shield to come out from Kramer this time as well. As they want to avoid this initial Q from Core JJ so much. They do successfully at least do it this time. Tusa just going to help thin this wave where he can.
Pushing advantage going to be there. But just on a Karma. Karma's not even going all in with the push. And just Q the wave at any point, so expected.
Value.
Back away, and nice value, like you say, on the first trade there with the Mantra Q.
Yep, Crown will probably get punished a little bit in the range versus melee matchup, but once he can clear out the back wave with his bevy of options, mostly being the Winds of War, he should be absolutely fine, and it's all about whether he can get himself to that big tanky point. I feel like Marin has a target in mind for throwing down that Subjugate, and it will be onto Crown, who will have all of the resistances he would ever need.
Doesn't have as clean itemization than some other Galio comps where you're against double magic damage dealers.
Yeah.
Against Marin and Kramer. We're waiting to see. Kramer may just go on hit again to have an earlier power spike, then you will be getting a lot of value out of magic resist, but Marin is physical only on his damage dealing.
And also I feel like once Subjugate is down and Kramer is at a point where he can do Kog'Maw things that won't really matter what he builds. He's just going to be a dead. No longer a Galio, just dead.
I think the Edge will be the strongest pickup against Ambition, but I think on hit again, just it'll 2-item Wit's End into Hurricane, then Shockwave is ripping through more members. It's cheaper as well, so there's arguments both ways when it comes to items.
Well, Crown actually going for a little bit of a wander, just to get some vision down. Marin underneath his turret, but is doing fine.
by a control ward on his first back would teleport their crown, so it's the only frustration there. Would have liked the ward he put down to be a control ward, but gold value wasn't there.
Yeah. But happy with being able to get a Dark Seal.
Honestly, Samsung happy that Ambition's getting a full clear rather than being forced to counter gank when Spirit could go for a gank as early as level 2. Speaking of summoners, Spirit went for Thunderlord, so went all in on the power of an early gank, then chose not to look for a gank. So, well, that gives him some burst. There are other keystones he could have considered in that particular situation.
Even something like Grasp of the Undying, even if you're not in the top lane, which is where we often see it, could possibly work for a pseudo extra damage move. Okay, bottom lane is pushing up here for the Freecs. Gank opportunity for Ambition, but he's on the top side of the map. And it's now Spirit looking for where he wants to go. He's been pretty good at getting first blood so far this series. Now, Crown, pretty difficult to gank because he's quite tanky. This bottom lane shoved underneath the turret. It feels like top lane is his option, but Cuvée also able to move around, and Ambition waiting in the wings means that that's also a difficult target. As Ambition's potentially looking for some kind of dive, but there is a ward down here. Ambition not going to find any camps, unfortunately.
Might be a face check here from Kuro. Needs to be careful. A lot of gank pressure from Crown.
Okay, they're looking for Crown, though. Spirit, once again, going to get some work done, but, you know, shield comes in. Everything's going to be okay. Shield of Duran. Thankfully, a little bit of the ultimate still remains as far as that super sweet name.
Close to Hero's entrance to make some side lane plays, but the side lane's not really ripe for ganks just yet. Marin hasn't lost as much turret HP as Cuvée would like, but you know exactly how bot lane is going. Here's bot lane.
Yeah, Kramer actually has to blow the flash very, very early on. Tucson still playing up aggressively. CoreJJ down to sub 200 health. But Spirit actually looking for this fight is an odd maneuver.
He knows that Afreeca's bot lane will respond first, so it's just about stealing away camps by Ambition rather than necessarily looking for any more than that.
Okay, gets himself out of the way, but at least the camp will be cleared out by Spirit. Level 5 though for Ambition. This guy has been smashing out the jungle. King's Tribute for Marin is actually helping him as he's being harassed and smashed underneath this turret over and over again. You can see his health bar slowly chunking back up again as he's able to at least be around while these minions die.
You were mentioning the experience lead for Ambition. What I'm struck by is that they coordinate action with Ambition really smartly. If you see him bot lane looking for either a gank or stealing away a camp, you know, getting the value either way, and the lane is in the right spot, it's well communicated moments before. We don't see that same multi-step process happening with Haru in games 1 and 2, and that's why the headache of trying to consider why they've run him so frequently returns again as Kramer dodges the
Ambition
mantra, but yep, it's going to be a bot lane party.
Yep, shows himself as Cuvée. Not a lot of Naba, but they're still looking to set up this dive. CoreJJ, they want to actually pick up the kill here. The flash, oh god, Tucson, he just does it. The heroic entrance is going to come in. It should be able to lock down the kill onto Kramer. Who's tanking up the turret? Absolutely no one. Never you mind, as now Kuro's going to come down. At least they won't get the turret, but the Acathian surprise didn't really do anything, and that is still a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Samsung.
And everything was correct in terms of the coordination from Samsung outside of CoreJJ standing up too far. It should have been a 2-for-0 as they teleported the Gnar in, as Marin had teleported top lane. It was set up to be clean. They would always have a 5v4 advantage, maybe even more. Could have been a 5v3. They play a bit too cute. First blood going the way of Afreeca is more than honestly they should have been granted by Samsung Galaxy.
And it was a red steal on the side of Spirit as well, so going to lose a whole lot by giving up the positioning of their jungler. Largely what Ambition is a lurking threat, and when they get knowledge of where his position is, it gives Spirit so much more room to move around and affect this map. Even items so far for these junglers, but neither of them going back very recently. See whether it is going to be Spirit going for a more aggressive choice to match his keystone. That'd be exciting.
It's hard to work out what teams need. You think of things like Thunderlords and you say, okay, all in on the early game. But then you could argue, well, they have a Cogmore with Fervor, so there's also a tipping point later, so why not set up your rest of the map for the highest presence early and know that the Cogmore will do the heavy lifting late game? And Tucson, you'll notice, did not go for a coin start. Actually went for the Spell Thief start for a bit more lane presence. And that might be the thought of, well, we can't just over-index everything into late and then be surprised if Kha'Zix and Galio keep jumping on our faces and getting double kills. Let's go for as much power early outside and then just allow Kramer to be the natural bridge to the late game.
Yeah, but with how Samsung's been playing, I feel like you almost don't necessarily do that. It's like, have as much power in the late game as you can possibly have, no matter what. Just because they have been playing relatively passively and then just expertly controlling in the last 2 games the late game and how their pressure has been working. It's been the macro game that's just looked so good in that game of chess. The post-mid game.
And we'll come a bit earlier for the Kog'Maws, once again going for the Wits End build.
I like it. Spirit looking to go aggressive. Wants to spot out Ambition once again. Okay, Tucson walks out of the way of at least the Q from Core JJ. We'll take a little bit of punishment here.
Ambition able to protect the control ward. Sorry, Spirit, I should say, able to protect the control ward. Ambition was trying to take down. Ambition's actually been so focused on ganks, he's fallen behind in experience, but I'm sure that will turn around shortly.
Yeah, Spirit getting that steal, of course, really did sort of help out. A couple of extra time with some camps for Spirit. And Kuro, he's got his Sorcerer Shoes. More of an aggressive option there.
I mean, Boots 2 also helps him trying to sidestep the taunt as well.
Yeah.
Bit of a repeat down bot lane.
Yeah, Ambition, that ward's going to be the end of him.
Might be the record for the amount of hits it took to take down a control ward.
6 so far. Can it take more? Ambition doesn't get in. Oh, okay. Shockwave going to be invested, but Justice Punch will get crowned to easy safety.
Just Cinderhulk, or Balmy Cinder, I should say, from Spirit, so no need to go crazy on the engage there.
No flash auto attacks necessary this time.
It lasted 10. It got to double digits, but the control ward, I regret to inform you, has died.
No.
It led a full life.
Well, more of a life, I guess, as far as hits taken than most other ones, so I guess you'd be happy with it. Idol picked up by Tucson, very close now to the Ardent Sensor.
Top lane's gone better than expected, only 4 CS down on Cuvée at the time of speaking, and the turret still relatively healthy, but we know what these lanes are set up to do, and it should be no surprise that the turret damage lead is with Samsung in top and bot lane.
Yeah. I feel like Afreeca Freecs shouldn't be too upset, though. Only down by about 1,000 gold, and that's all based on what had happened bottom lane. 20 CS is the lead for Ruler, but a Kog'Maw happy to fall behind. I don't know, I feel like this is very even so far, and if you're a fan of either of these teams, you can probably still feel happy with the decisions that they've made. It's just who's going to be able to operate this ship in the late game is the question. Just no one seems to be getting a free ride like has been offered to teams like this in the past.
You speak about late game, and I don't know if it'll be the late game. It feels like the mid game is going to be so core here, and I question whether Afreeca can pull off the Trundle split push while also losing the minimum. Samsung's comp is more straightforward. Kha'Zix dives in, the Galio joins him. They define the battlefield in an instant, whereas Afreeca have more setup to what they're trying to do and more timings to really consider. So ease of execution is very often something we talk about even in the best league in the world, and to me, Samsung comp is a little bit more straightforward, which with a Gnar is certainly not a guarantee most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just that if the lanes are left to their own, Gnar auto attacks down Trundle's turret, Tristana auto attacks down Kog'Maw's turret. That part is comfortable, and they have so much get out of jail with the Galio that for now, everything has been comfortable to a point for Samsung.
If Afreeca are looking for engage options, I guess they've got the Jarvan as fantastic ball delivery, but I do see your point. Samsung have made all of these champions work as well, so it's comfort in game number 5, and has certainly been comfort that's worked for Samsung in the past. We're looking for Crown, Spirit here as well, but I just feel like he's too tanky at this stage. Abyssal Mask already done. Freecs continuing to go aggressive. Okay. Marin will have to go back. 8 CS behind, and this tower may actually just fall down right here, unless someone can make their way up. Decides that he can't actually leave. And Subjugate may actually need to be invested to avoid getting dove, but no, it's going to be the exit from Cuvée.
Yeah, diving a Trundle, almost impossible.
Yeah, it feels bad.
We're not going to go for that, but Good news story after good news story for the side of Samsung Galaxy. Afreeca's item timing's not where they need to be to fight. Starting a fight, even with Jarvan and Orianna, not straightforward because Flash is available across the board for Samsung. They're just going to keep pushing and honestly wait for Afreeca to make an aggressive move, and if it's a mistake, then all the standing gold will lead to a ballooned gold lead, and that's when the real problems will start for Afreeca.
Speaking of real problems, Kramer actually getting some damage back here. Buster shot. Not going to find too much joy as Wild Growth was invested as well, so Afreeca Freecs walking away a little bit more wanting than that of Samsung. No Summoner spells down. They just need to wait for that Wild Growth once again to do Afreeca Freecs. Buster shot, a similar situation, so you'd say it's pretty even.
It's all delay from Afreeca. How long can they keep bot and top lane turrets up before the map gets longer? This might be real action.
Yep, Cataclysm comes down as heroic entrance. Yeah, fortunate.
To lose his bearings there when it comes to the shockwave, and just with the hula hoop on himself, and at the same time, predictably QV is going to harass Marin and probably take down this turret in at least the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, actually looking pretty quick. But, okay, Marin once again.
Level 11 too. He's going to go for it, I think.
Subjugate comes in. That is going to deny that turret, but Marin knew exactly what QV wanted to do. QV now sort of wishing that he was in mini-Gnar form because it's so hard to auto-attack that turret.
Bot lane. It's just Lulu by himself. This is silly.
Yep. It's going to be a really difficult one as Ruler waits for the last auto-attack, gets it in the end, and they take down first brick at the same time. Samsung stretch that lead, 4,000 gold.
It's huge lead in gold. Bless you over there, Atlas. You almost died for a second there, but turret's going to fall low as well. Kazic will stick around. Kramer and Afreeca Freecs bleeding gold to the side of the enemy, and it feels like a long time since we saw Afreeca in control of a game.
Yeah, wasn't since that time early game number 3. Feels like exactly the halfway point is when Afreeca Freecs lost control, and Samsung have been unrelenting. Ball traveled a long way, Kuro. He's going to be able to take down these chickens, and look, 4,000 gold with the composition that they have on the side of Afreeca. They have late game options. Trundle, fantastic. Kog'Maw, of course, one of the best. And Orianna, no slouch either, but just feels scary knowing that Samsung are a momentum-based team. They've got a lot of emotional players. And it's just felt like with ambition here, the ship has righted itself. And I believe there was one specific moment. The let's bounce underneath the turret after that interrupt on the elastic slingshot from Spirit. Since there, Afreeca Freecs have been in what feels like freefall.
I used to have a draft like this that I'm really not a fan of from the side of Afreeca, where, sure, it does things in the late game, but there's really no manual that tells you how you get to the late game, Atlas. That's my query I see with the draft. Is he may have flash up.
Oh, there it is. Stabs him. Okay, easy peasy. Command Protect was enough.
Waiting game there for a long time, but they're going to lose turret HP on bot side as Kramer and Tucson have roamed over. The Rift Heralds they've gotten a few games in a row haven't led to too much. But Afreeca are really waiting for the late game, waiting for their lanes to get a few items to be relevant. That still seems like quite a long way away, even though they'll feel good about picking up their first kill in a while.
Well, Righteous Glory actually first item for Marin, so not going for any damage at all. Feels like the old LPL Trundle that just didn't opt in for damage, but speaking of which, he's actually going to get taunted up. Now the Rift Herald in trouble. Not actually resetting just yet. It will be Ambition that takes that one down. Unfortunate when Spirit had put in so much time and effort to taking him down. Teleport invested by QV continue being frustrating. That gives Afreeca Freecs some space on the bottom side. It's Rulot wandering back through. QV, what are you doing, buddy?
Teleport coming in. It's going to be Galio on the bot side, but cancelled. Just to relieve pressure from the turret.
Actually like that. Keep the pressure up mid lane and make sure that they are forced away. This is the cannon creep, does QV, but he was causing enough disruption. I think we can be easy on him there. And now the Tiamat is done. So Marin is going to get to that point where QV can't necessarily beat the heck out of him freely. Myron will get tanky enough to ignore the Gnar, I could imagine, eventually.
The Frozen Mallet will come in and probably restart it a little bit, though, Atlas is...
Okay.
Oh, he's having a lot of fun, you can see.
Massive amounts of fun. It's just the best. Best experience ever, mini Gnar.
Hyper just gets so strong as the game goes on. The health is being built for the Titanic Hydra that it still will answer what Trundle's trying to do.
Scary thing is, Papa Smithy, is that we haven't really touched on what Ruler managed to get out of that last situation. 2-0-1 now, has his 2-item spike to start things off.
Pretty bonkers early time to have it as well.
Silly.
We
haven't really seen much of him.
And no one's tanky compared to the damage he can output. Trundle and Jarvan not there yet. Before the Hurricane is complete, not really the same sort of threat coming through from Kramer with just the Wit's End and Azeel. The reason why I'm critical about this draft is how does it get to what the 5v5 fights could look like? How does that happen? And they didn't really have many champions with initiative, even with Jarvan and Orianna as a duo. Galio answers it. There were no real lanes to gank in the side lanes, with only a Lulu for setup or a Trundle pillar. That's why we shouldn't be surprised that so much gold has gone the way of Samsung.
Well, inner turret on the bottom side is getting pressured. Top inner also. Outer turret in the mid lane has a Rift Herald beating it down. Not actually going to get it just yet, but Ruler sticks around, gets shielded. I don't know whether it's going to be enough. This teleport very, very deep and not exactly in the best position. Ambition could be in trouble, but he's going to go invisible and get himself away. Now they're just looking for more, but kited like the Trundle normally gets.
Useless teleport, honestly. Trundle was never going to make something happen there. He had a Righteous Glory, but it wasn't going to do anything. Cuve headbutting down turret. Crown auto-attacking turrets. Gold lead ballooning. 6,200 gold at 20 minutes. Freecs will wonder how this all happened. Like you say, we saw the turning point halfway through Game 3, where it was still clean sailing for the Freecs, and we had a final of the Worlds qualifier last year between KT and Samsung, and now we're set up to have a rematch.
And it's super scary if you're a KT fan or a member of KT watching this, watching Samsung get their momentum back. It feels like even from the playoff match against SKT, which was honestly abysmal from Samsung at the beginning of this series against Freecs, looked also awful. But now this is a Samsung that's rebuilding momentum, getting themselves back into a position where they've been recently on a stage. It's going to be a cold KT roster coming off a disappointing reverse sweep from SKT.
4 of the 5 losses for Samsung were with Haru, we have to remember. Ambition will almost certainly be starting against KT, but I would have said the same thing today. I'm just poking around. They don't want to give away Baron. That would definitely end the game and end the life of the inhibitor. They'll try to just wave clear. There's just no clean point for Trundle in this matchup. It never gets better to any real degree. Almost always can be solo. Just would prefer to be in mini now to do so, and that's why he doesn't have a care in the world.
Actually just walks up to him.
He missed the boomerang pretty badly.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Okay, so throws down a trophy, but Cuve is going to head into Mega Gnar form, and he still wins the trade, no problem. So
control ward to spot the Cogmore coming down.
Backing away. I'm just used to Trundle always getting to a point where he eventually wins. You're right. Doesn't feel like that point is coming. Ambition, not going to get any dissonance damage, and just feels like we're watching an Freecs that can't make the aggressive calls that they were making earlier on. When they are in that position to take initiative, they look so, so good. Even when they weren't, even when they were making the Cogmore happen in game number 1, it was just intelligent play, but this is different. Ambition will get chunked out. 2-item spike now on Kramer.
It's a long time for him to kill turrets, though, with no AD from items.
Cuve, a different story. He's got a Black Cleaver, and he's also just hanging out here in front of this inhibitor turret. Stop throwing bits of structure.
Steel steps. It's a wrestling game.
Ah, got it. It looks like concrete. That was my problem. It just looks like a chunk of a house or something. But I'm not a wrestling fan like you, Pop Smithy.
Fair.
So I'm just not quite there. Well, Spirit's going to face check Ruler.
Unseen Tristana.
That's a weird one. Probably the deadliest, I don't know.
Ruler this strong. Certainly deserves a lot of hyperbole around how much damage he will do, and some armor onto Marin, but not really any others to speak of. The Knight's Vow is not going to escape the threat from Spirit either. Hasn't really done much of anything since his earlier kill.
And Marin is just getting annoyed. He's desperately trying to take down these minions. Does do so. Wants to go back to base and grab some items, but it's just slowly bleeding creeps to this turret. Cuvee picking up every single one as he stands waiting just outside.
Afreeca would take blowing a flash, and they may even have to blow their own flash, but smartly Spirit will back away. But even their guaranteed initiation combo won't work when 5 flashes up, when Galio ults up. Marin's trying to create something in the bot side.
Does at least get the slow here, and exhausted is Cuvee, but Marin forced to walk away, which is when you get punished for your decision. Look at that, the boomerang just cutting him down. And it's sad. Watching Marin just with nothing he can do.
He opted into this. They went for the Trundle late. They didn't need to. They could have gone for something a bit more competitive, but went for Trundle blind. The Gnar was there cleanly to answer, and that's why he keeps headbutting away on the bot lane turret.
Not quite able to take down the inhibitor turret just yet, but it feels like a matter of time. Samsung just all of the space in the world. Hop comes in, but doesn't actually hop on the head of Marin, which means that he might be able to get something. Flash comes in. Oh no. This is going to be the turnaround. Hyperproc's going to do it, and Cuvee celebrating his successes. Felt like a matter of time. Kuro comes down, wants to try and do what he can, but gets hit by a boomerang. He's going to be slowed. Mega Gnar's going to come in. There's the flash. One auto will do it. Doesn't hit Mega Gnar in time, but that means that Samsung free to head towards this Baron. But are they? His ambition, he's taken down very, very low. Spirit gets himself out of the Cataclysm, but they're just creating some space. As Kramer is at least alive for the moment. Ruler unable to chase after Spirit with enough gusto to take down the J4.
And mission success, they get Samsung off of Baron without incurring any further losses. Smart of Samsung, though, they just return straight to the Baron. They're still set up to play around this expertly. They know there's no deep wards down. Kuro can use the ball to check.
We'll have 10 seconds more of Marin than we will of Cuvee if the teleport is used instantly, but nope. Just gonna head to the bottom side, try and defend that inhibitor.
There's so much Baron damage with Ruler as strong as he is. Gnar can teleport in at any moment. The Jarvan back was completed, so there's no smite threat. Should be free. Wait until it's secured.
Well, Crew's doing what he can, but it is going to be the Baron falling. Ambition with the smite fingers working as well. Samsung makes it a lot of games where they're able to secure this Baron as the first team on the Rift.
Reliable way for Afreeca to win these games was Disarray, Atlas. If you look at the real constant trend, it's the creativeness and the factors that teams don't scrim against that have launched Afreeca as far as they have gone. One game away from the final Worlds qualifier. But when it gets predictable and you load in Samsung Galaxy, the Worlds 2016 final roster, with Haru no longer there, the predictability suits Samsung to a T. They are a controlled team. They will let teams come to them and then take them out in the late game. It's what they did to KT Rolster in the final week of the LCK, but not what they could do to Longzhu Gaming, who had the early game chops to take them down. That's why it's going to be so tantalizing a matchup if, as expected, we see it on Saturday. Samsung Galaxy so close to there and just ready to ink the contract for that final match.
And I'm glad that it's off the back of Cuvee being an absolute beast. I know the scoreline doesn't look great, but the pressure he's been able to create on this Gnar is pretty damn impressive.
Wait for his damage to champions, which should be renamed damage to Trundle.
Damage to trolls. Nice. You know that he reads the summoner's code.
It's also when you get very sassy with Twitch chat.
Okay, Ruler trying to get rid of Spirit, but he actually flashes the wrong direction. A lot of autos going in. Spirit is going to be okay for the moment, but sped up by the Inspire and Ambition hunting for trolls. Spirit as well taking a long way round to make sure that he doesn't meet any fancy bugs waiting to take down inhibitors. But once again, I've seen this storyline before, and it was in game number 4. Because Samsung, so much pressure on this map. There's not enough players on Afreeca Freecs to defend everywhere.
Side wave control from Samsung, great in game 4, great here again. All 3 waves pushing up, any mistake, and the game will end for the Afreeca Freecs. And if they take a fight, they're 11,000 gold behind.
Yeah. And that gold lead has just been incrementally increasing. Kramer looking for more. We'll need a few auto attacks, but Ruler turns around. Shields, multiple areas for shields to come in, as Kramer will find at least this cannon creep. Now with the space being gained, Ruler will just move forward, destroys that turret so quickly. Hey look, bottom lane, there's one that we prepared earlier, and Ambition is setting himself up to take that one down as well as he clears out the minions. Samsung Galaxy, once again, all the pressure. They're not pushing too far forward, making sure that they have the pressure points down first, and they're not taking undue risks. See, there's nothing Marin can do. Ambition takes down the inhibitor. Mid lane inhibitor falls as well. Samsung, at 30 minutes into this game, are looking to complete the reverse sweep and get themselves into the rematch against KT Rolster in this Worlds Qualifier. Worlds Qualification on the line for both teams that really want to be back. Of course, this is Worlds 2016 runners-up in Samsung against KT, a team fashioned to win the World Championships.
And there can only be one because of Longzhu's rise, Atlas. That's the most tantalizing part of it all. Potentially the 4th best team in the world will not even be at the World Championships. Only 3 slots for Korea. Afreeca, valiant base defense, but tower defense, if this was an iPhone game, be having to load in some more downloadable content because they're going to lose in a moment, Atlas.
Yep. It's also available on Android. We're not playing any bias here. But what isn't available on Android looks to be the Afreeca Freecs victory. And that's not in the Apple Store either. They are running away just to go back, buy all of the items that they possibly can. They've got a lot. That's 3,000 gold on Cube. What the heck? Which full item does he purchase now? Gargoyle Stone Plate for the funsies? Nah, probably doesn't ever want to sacrifice his damage.
Oh, he Sword of Dorrance.
Ooh, Blade of the Rune King.
We're waiting.
Another GA. You said the word tantalizing a lot, but this is very, very much that.
3250. What does he want? How about a completed more?
There it is. Aw. That was the funnest little game at Leapfrog I've ever seen.
I mean, he got to lane against a Trundle, so it was happy, happy times. Even like you say, if the scoreline doesn't read 4-0-0, he was the true carry they needed. He has been the star of the summer season. He's been their best performing player by a mile, next to Ambition and Ruler. Crown could be much more capable on the Galio. Hasn't been about Crown in this game, or this series, I would say. See how he does against Pawn. Just waiting for this game to end. 7 kills, 31 minutes, but it's been all about the turret destruction for Samsung Galaxy.
Unless they walk headlong into Kramer and he just kills them all 5 times. Does it have to happen 5 times, you reckon? They're looking for Ambition, Guardian Angels across the board here as Kramer. He's going to get buster shotted back, but they probably wanted to keep him in range. These guys did throw pot shots out. At least the wave clears here for the Afreeca Freecs. But, oh god, that static shiv damage from Ruler. Tearing up the members of the Afreeca Freecs, and it feels like they're getting whittled down. Super Creeps come in goes Spirit, there's the shockwave, but flashes everywhere, and no one is going to be hit by that ultimate. Ruler takes down the Jarvan. Ambition dives the backline and picks up more. You can see the Nexus turrets, they're getting shredded, and who cares about the Cogmore when the base is getting ripped apart? The ace comes in anyway, and Samsung Galaxy complete the reverse sweep and will once again meet KT for World Championship opportunities on both sides. The script couldn't have been any better, and neither could the Afreeca Freecs attempt to make their run all the way through this gauntlet.
Bringing in Ambition at the start of 2016 got them to 1 game away from winning Worlds 2016. Bringing him back in this series after preferring Haru in the postseason, to almost everyone's surprise, wins them the series. He's able to be the stabilizing impact. He is one of our true veterans of the LCK, playing since the first ever true season of Champions, and Afreeca was so close. Even in Game 3, it looked like it could have been a 3-0. It's harsh to them. You can see that the dream of Marin will end here. The Trundle pick, probably not the smartest in the final game. Marin, Spirit, Kuro, and of course the bot lane of Kramer and Tucson. Maybe we will never see this team again, Atlas, as a group of 5. Who knows if they will stick together in the year of 2018, they did not find the success apart from finishing 5th in both seasons that the old roster did as well. You can see Spirit's disappointment would have been on cloud 9 just 2 days ago after winning with his famous Lulu pick. They took down the Lulu, they unseated the Kog'Maw, and they will face KT Rolster in the match that so sweetly is a repeat of a year ago. On that day, it was Samsung announcing their arrival as a contender after going down 17 games in a row to the team of KT Rolster. Now it's KT Rolster with all their fans far away from being excited. Now they're nervous because the Samsung of the final 3 games is the sort of Samsung that KT can struggle against.
And that's the sort of, what is that, like the rock and roll horns people put up in the audience? You can imagine that Samsung doing that exactly right now. Because that damage from Na and Tristana was insane. Somehow Ruler out-damaging the Na that was free hitting onto a Trundle the entire time was impressive, but Samsung, what's impressive to me is the fact that they turned around what was some woeful games. 5 in a row, honestly, did not feel great for the squad. All of the games against SKT and then the first 2 against the Afreeca Freecs. And it felt like this wasn't the same Samsung that we were watching win games. The Samsung that made it to that runner-up position at the World Finals.
Because it wasn't, it wasn't the same team. Ambition wasn't there. They tried Haru, even though they preferred Ambition all year. It's kind of the puzzling thing about Samsung is they will often take what works in the regular season, redefine it for playoffs, and then be surprised to not find success with it. But at the last time of asking, they found success. Will we go the full 15? It'll be Achilles and I bringing you KT Rolster versus Samsung. 1 year later, the same 2 teams. Somebody's going to be denied from going to Worlds. One of the top 4 teams in the world won't even be at the tournament. And it's going to be a juicy best of 5 on Saturday night.
Yeah, just so much riding on this one. We know both of these teams. You saw Samsung in that booth after game number 3. They were not looking happy. This is a team that gets affected by their emotions quite a lot. You look in the mid lane, Crown, he's had some rough times during this this season especially. Turning it around, the Galio game was great. The Syndra game looked very, very impressive. And man, up against KT Rolster, the team that managed to go 2 games up against SKT for what felt like the first time ever. No juicier storyline has ever existed. I'm going to say goodbye for this year, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me. And you'll be with Achilles and Papa for the next match to find out our last remaining Worlds contender. We'll see you there on Saturday.